Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Have you ever, just found yourself effortlessly gliding through a website, clicking, getting exactly what you need, barely even thinking about it?
Oh, absolutely.
Or maybe the opposite, that feeling, kind of a vague irritation, a subtle resistance, and you just click away.
Mm.
And you're not even totally sure why.
That friction.
Exactly. Well, today we're doing a deep dive into something often unseen, but incredibly powerful. It's like the invisible hand of design at work.
That's a great way to put it.
Our source material is a really insightful piece called Is Your Website Invisible? Designing for Effortless User Experience. And our mission here is basically to pull back the curtain.
Yeah, show how these subtle choices, the ones you barely notice, profoundly impact how your brain processes information and whether you actually enjoy being online.
Right, that immediate gut feeling you get from a good website, it's not luck. It's not accidental.
No, it's carefully orchestrated, deliberately designed.
So think of this deep dive as your shortcut, really. Understanding the mechanics behind those effortless experiences, recognizing the silent architects of your attention online.
It's pretty fascinating when you start looking how many elements are working behind the scenes that we just don't consciously register.
Like what specifically? What are these invisible elements?
Well, we're talking about things like white space, for starters. How it's used on a page isn't accidental.
Okay, yeah, not just blank space.
Right. And the rhythm created by typography, how the text flows, even those tiny, subtle micro animations you might see.
Things you might not even remember seeing afterwards.
Exactly. You probably won't recall them specifically, but they absolutely influence your experience. They guide your gaze, guide your actions without you ever having to actively think about it.
So, okay, on one hand, you've got these beautifully choreographed elements making things smooth, a seamless dance almost.
Mhm.
And there's the other side of the coin, these friction points, as the source calls them.
Yeah, that feeling when a poorly designed website just feels frustrating. But like you said, you can't always articulate exactly why.
It's just annoying.
Right. And that vague irritation, it can even build up into what the source calls cognitive dissonance. Your intuition says this should be easy, but the reality is clunky.
So your brain's kind of fighting the interface.
Pretty much. It's like your brain is yelling, this shouldn't be so hard.
Yeah.
Even if there isn't one obvious broken thing you can point to, that's that invisible friction creating a psychological barrier.
Okay, that makes sense. And the flip side, that feels right experience.
That's the precise opposite. No friction. It's about creating a seamless path, minimizing those mental speed bumps.
So a well-designed site guides you almost,
Yes.
intuitively, making the whole thing effortless.
Exactly. Which brings us nicely to a really crucial concept in this whole invisible design world.
Hmm.
Cognitive load management, the art of it.
Right. And it seems to start with that principle we hear a lot, but maybe don't always connect to web design. Less is more.
Yeah, in this context, it translates directly to actively minimizing the mental effort the user has to put in, getting it as close to zero as possible.
So it's not just about aesthetics, it's about mental energy.
Precisely. Zooming out a bit, this means guiding users effortlessly through what we could call intuitive pathways.
Okay, intuitive pathways. What does that look like?
It's a deliberate design choice to prevent something we've all felt. Choice overload. You know, when you're faced with too many options and just freeze up or get overwhelmed.
Ah, yeah. Analysis paralysis.
Exactly that. And this is where the Goldilocks principle really shines in web design.
Okay, Goldilocks. Not too much, not too little.
Just right. Providing just enough information, never too much. The goal isn't just to declutter the page visually, although that helps.
It's more about the information itself.
Yes, it's ensuring every piece of information presented is exactly what the user needs, right at the moment they need it. It allows them to just flow through the site without any mental detours or feeling overwhelmed.
And when a website really nails this, really gets it right, it can lead to something pretty special, right? Like digital immersion, flow states.
Absolutely. That's the ideal, isn't it? Imagine browsing so seamlessly, so engagingly, that you actually lose track of time, but in a good way.
Right, like the website itself just kind of fades away and you're just in the content or completing the task.
And that's flow. And how do designers actually achieve that level of absorption? Well, a key part is something called design for intent.
Design for intent. So understanding why someone is there.
Exactly. You have to understand, is this user here for deep focus? Are they planning to read a long article, for instance? Or are they just quickly scanning, maybe checking a price or finding a phone number?
Because you design differently for those two scenarios.
Totally. The design needs to create pathways that cater to those different motivations. And think about those micro interactions we mentioned earlier.
The tiny animations and stuff.
Yeah, those subtle movements. Maybe a button subtly highlights when you hover over it, or a little check mark appears instantly when you click something.
Okay. They seem small.
They are small, but they're providing instant silent feedback. They tell your brain, yep, that worked, without you having to consciously process it. It keeps things smooth, nudges you deeper, guides you effortlessly without adding cognitive load.
So it sounds like there's a lot more going on under the surface than just, making things look nice. What are some of the deeper, maybe scientific principles at play here? The things that make an interface feel almost second nature, truly invisible.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely not just about aesthetics. It's deeply rooted in psychology and how our brains are wired to perceive and process information.
Like what? Give us an example.
Okay, we'll take Gestalt principles. These are fundamental ideas about how we naturally group visual elements together.
So designers use these.
Yeah. Well, they're not just placing things randomly on a page. They're leveraging how your brain instinctively organizes information, proximity, similarity, closure, things like that, without you even noticing you're doing it.
Okay, so it feels natural because it taps into how we already see the world.
Exactly. Or think about fifth law. That's a principle that helps predict the time it takes to move to and select a target.
Like clicking a button.
Right. It basically tells us that larger buttons or targets that are closer are easier and quicker to click. So designers use this to minimize the physical and therefore mental effort you don't even realize you're expending.
Making interactions feel faster.
Faster and easier. And then there's Hick's law.
Hick's law.
Yeah, it states that the more choices you present to a user, the longer it will take them to make a decision.
Back to choice overload.
Pretty much. So by strategically limiting choices, maybe in a navigation menu or a form, designers can actually speed up your interaction, making the whole process feel more fluid and less effortful.
That's clever. It's designing for speed almost.
In a way, yes. And a really key insight here is about consistency. It's not just about making everything look the same, although that helps.
It's deeper than that.
Much deeper. Consistency is about predictability. It's about building user confidence because things behave in familiar ways, following established patterns. When a button looks like a button and acts like a button everywhere on the site,
You don't have to relearn it each time.
exactly, you build trust, you know what to expect. And when that happens, the interface itself just fades into the background. You're not thinking about the design, you're just using it.
And some websites seem to take this even further. It sometimes feels like they almost know what you want next. That sounds a bit sci-fi, but that's anticipatory design, right?
It is, and it's not sci-fi anymore, it's happening right now. It's like the website is trying to predict your next move.
How does it do that?
Often by using your past behavior, patterns in how you've used the site before or how similar users behave, it then tries to serve up what you might need before you even explicitly ask or search for it.
Like a shopping site suggesting items related to what I just looked at.
Exactly. Or maybe pre-filling parts of a form based on previous entries. It's subtle, often, but it's proactively guiding your experience, making it feel smoother, more helpful.
So looking ahead then, based on all this, the insights here suggest that the next generation of web experiences, they're going to be defined by what the source calls invisible intelligence.
Yeah, that seems to be the direction. We're talking about AI becoming more deeply integrated into experiences, but in ways you might not even directly see.
And things like voice interfaces becoming more common.
Right, where the interface is literally invisible, or even spatial computing, augmented reality, changing how we interact entirely.
And the common thread is?
The key thread seems to be that all these powerful technologies are actually being designed to fade into the background, to make the interaction itself the focus, not the tech enabling it. Seamlessness is the goal.
So pulling this together, what are the big takeaways for listeners from this deep dive?
Well, I think two crucial points really stand out. First, accessibility. Designing for accessibility isn't just a nice-to-have or a compliance issue. It inherently makes the invisible web visible for everyone.
How so?
By considering people with the diverse needs, visual impairments, motor challenges, cognitive differences, you end up applying principles like clarity, simplicity, predictability. And those benefit all users, making the experience better across the board.
That's a great point. And the second takeaway?
Second, and this feels really crucial, Understanding cognitive flow, understanding how to manage that mental load. It isn't just some abstract design theory anymore.
It's more practical.
It's becoming your competitive advantage, especially in an AI-driven future. As the technology itself becomes less visibly there, the ability to orchestrate an effortless mental experience for the user, that becomes absolutely paramount. That's the differentiator.
So there you have it. Good web design, it really isn't magic, is it? It's this careful, almost architectural orchestration of elements you might not even notice.
But they profoundly impact your experience.
It's about how these design principles subtly guide your attention, reduce that cognitive load we talked about, and hopefully foster those coveted flow states.
All underpinned by, scientific understanding of how we think and perceive, and built on consistent, familiar patterns that you respond to intuitively.
Which, thinking about that competitive advantage point, raises a really important final question for you, the listener. If understanding cognitive flow truly is your competitive edge in this increasingly AI-driven future, how will you leverage these invisible insights, whether it's in your own digital interactions or maybe even in things you create yourself?